Hi, how's it going, everyone? This is PhloppyBunny here, and after much mulling it over, I wanted to do this video to address what clearly has become the big thing, the latest big thing in our fandom, and that would be as it relates to and his appearance at Anthrocon, or what's starting to sound like, I guess maybe the lack thereof. It's tough to tell. I might be reading into that, but based on his most recent video, that's what makes me say this. And if you don't want to watch any further, I don't blame you one bit. So if you feel like stopping now for watching the video, it's all good, no problem. And I'm only really making this video because this is something that concerns me, at least in as far as that I will be at Anthrocon, both me and my mate. Otherwise, I wouldn't have felt the need to make this video in the first place, And, also, too, since I've got a few things to say about it, it would take some time to type it all. So it saves me on typing, and it saves you, the viewer, from having to read through, massive walls of text, right? But, yeah. I will link to the original video if you don't already know about it on YouTube. And, here's the thing. I have liked to in the past because he reminds me a lot of George Carlin, and I like George Carlin a lot, George Carlin is a man that is, good head on his shoulder. And frankly, so is Tu, despite all this nonsense going on now lately, But, I can tell that the fandom attitude towards the man, Tu, not George Carlin, of course, is changing, And I feel it's understandably so. Now, I don't think of him as a Nazi or anything like that. I don't know anything or care anything about that. The thing that I feel is the sticking point in all this, or at least should be, is the fact that, about the suicide stuff, of how, he made comments a while back, and that's in his videos up on YouTube, too, so you can track this down. You don't have to take my word for it, Now, in his, one of his prior videos that was recent, he was saying, well, I never told anybody to commit suicide, and in all fairness, he didn't. But at the same time, he was pretty much a heartless prick about it, And also, a fair warning, although a little late now, that perhaps I might throw in a bit of language like what you just heard, as it relates to these things with Tu, But yeah, if it was some family member of his, and, somebody had said what he, too, said, about, and I hope I get this right. If I don't, the video is out there on YouTube, so you don't even have to consult with me or any other fur in the fandom to see what Tu said, because he's got his own YouTube channel anyway, But, simply put, that, he had no empathy, I guess is the word I'm looking for somebody that commits suicide because they were trolled into doing it. Now, he makes points about that, and I got his point, that it's ridiculous to commit suicide over that kind of thing was his whole point, And, yes, I get him on that, but, his mindset was still along the general lines of well, so be it, good riddance, or something more along those lines. Again, that's not his verbatim words, but that was the overall sentiment, And, I don't think that's too cool of the guy, also, too, the guy, too, Ranting Gryphon, can't seem to ever state his opinions on something without ranting his fool head off. I know he'd say, well, that's his name, Floppy, Tu the Ranting Gryphon. It's like, yes, I get that. But my point still stands, that it's possible to make a point without going all like, yeah, seriously, You know, does the guy think that people honestly want to sit there and listen for, you know, on and on for that kind of stuff? I guess he'd say, well, then go watch something else and that, which you can and that. But my point still stands, that namely that, you know, this guy can't ever seem to just simply state his opinion about something and actually remain calm. Well, gee, what a novel concept. You mean to say that we can actually, you know, have a difference of opinion without going all full tilt rage? It is possible, you know? And with this stuff, with two, as it relates to Anthrocon. Now, he may not be doing that kind of stuff like that, but the guy is salty, plain and simple. There's no question about it. If you watch his past, frankly, I guess 2 videos, but especially the most recent one, and past 2 videos, meaning the 2 as in not 2 the ranting, you know what I mean. The most recent one and the prior one. His most recent one was earlier today, 5 hours ago. I happened upon it. And, you know, like, I half expect them to start talking like this at the end of the video, that, you know, goodbye, Anthrocon, you know, and I get it. I get what he's doing, you know. This, you know, if there wasn't a shitstorm over this to begin with, he's just stirring the pot, if it wasn't already stirred enough to begin with. And, you know, I just want to go to an Anthrocon that's not laced with that kind of thing. Frankly, for any of the rest of us that have, you know, nothing to do with any of that matter between him and the Anthrocon staff, you know, aren't we as the con-goers kind of being caught in the middle a little bit? I feel you can kind of say, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I don't know about anybody else, but I go to a fur con to have fun, period. And, you know, if this guy has his way, too, I mean, I'm not talking about the Anthrocon staff, too, you know, that if he has his way, he'll want to see to it that he, like, you know, is a spoiled sport about it and, you know, kind of take things down, you know. In particular, you know, I feel that kind of, those things that he was saying, and then again, you watch his video, I don't want to bother wasting my time quoting stuff that you can see in his own video there. You can see it for yourself, you can hear it for yourself. I don't know if you'll see it the same way as I do, and that's fine if you don't, you know. But for me, you know, again, I see it too, the likes of which I've never seen before, and I've been in our fandom since 2003. I've also been at Anthrocon personally, and I've seen him, you know, perform on stage too, as well. And, you know, first of all, though I feel he's intelligent, like I already said, and, you know, he's on the ball and he gets plenty right, like any of the rest of us, he's not perfect, and he's no choir boy or angel, nor has he ever claimed to be, you know. But, you know, I'm sure that he's got his crowd out there, his followers, his fanboys, that are bound to be as salty as he's starting to sound to be. And, you know, what are they going to do when it comes to this? I'm really hoping they don't try to protest Anthrocon just over this nonsense, you know. And frankly, even if they don't do that, but they don't show up, I wouldn't enjoy that either, because I want to see an Anthrocon where as many people show up to it as possible and have a good time, you know? Why? Because that's a great thing. Well, what's not great about it, right? To go to a fur con and enjoy yourself without having to focus on something like this happen, you know? But it's also really quite the supreme irony when he was mentioned, you know, like all the stuff involving his stage time, or lack thereof, you know. And the irony comes in the form of the fact that with all his talk about this kind of stuff, and what I feel is kind of getting to be kind of ball, complaining, butthurt kind of stuff, he is taking center stage in the end, just in a different way, you know? And he mentioned about Anthrocon being his home. Now, I know the way he meant it, but, you know, just to take that saying at face value for a moment, 2 was not born and raised in Pittsburgh. Then again, neither was I, but I was born and raised in that state, at least, you know? And plain and simple, you know, it's like the saying that's already been said years ago by other people outside our fandom, you know, can't we all just get along? And, you know, it really feels like the answer is no, and this is the kind of stuff that proves it, and I hate seeing this, I really do, you know? Why simple? Because of the simple fact it doesn't have to be like this, and when this kind of stuff does happen, when it rears its ugly head again, each time it does, for anything of this dramalicious kind of flavor, it takes things down for all of us, and it makes for a fandom where we're at each other's throats constantly, and it just always goes, you know, at each other's throats like that. Over what? You know? To admit it out of his own mouth that, you know, he's had 14 years at Anthrocon, you know, of being on stage. Well, that's 14 years more than I've ever had on a microphone at Anthrocon. Not that I'd want to be, but my point still stands on that. It's also 14 years more than plenty of Anthrocon goers have ever had on a mic there, you know? But so what? Life goes on, right? I mean, you can choose to piss and moan and bawl and complain and just basically wait for the wambulance to show up. Or you can move on with your life, you know? Meaning 2, I'm saying, you know? But, you know, and also, too, he nitpicked on the grammar of the person on Anthrocon's con staff panel that you know, responded about this based on the misspelling of the word courtesy. You know, maybe it's just me, but I don't really think that being a grammar Nazi, you know, is going to help get you reinstated too. As a matter of fact, it's bound to help show you as being a troll over that kind of stuff, because newsflash, there's plenty of people that don't like grammar Nazis, and I'm one of them. Why simple? Because it's petty and it's ridiculous. If you know what somebody's saying, then what does it matter how they spell it? What does it matter if they left a comma out? What does it matter if they left a period out? What does it matter if they left an apostrophe, or they you know, something like that? They didn't capitalize a letter. Big fucking deal. So what? You know? Only people that are trolls concern themselves with grammar. If you know what somebody's talking about, why should it matter? You know? But in all fairness, 2's not the only one guilty of that kind of thing. I myself do not bother with that kind of stuff, because as long as I know what somebody's saying when they've typed something, that's all that matters to me, right? But I don't know, I guess that's just me. In our fandom, where we've just got to nitpick on every single solitary last thing, we're always looking to pick a fight with one another. We're spoiling for a battle of one type or another. So many furs over basically nothing. Absolutely nothing, you know? And that's what I see that 2 is doing with this stuff. This is kind of what he's become. He's become as petty as the kind of people I'm talking about, you know? And this ridiculous petty infighting needs to stop. Because, you know, if this is going to be a common thing as it applies to Anthrocon year in and year out, or any FurCon for that matter, even if it's not Anthrocon, it's something that takes down the enjoyment level of attending these FurCons if you've got all this kind of stuff going on, you know? Again, I just don't see the point, you know? You're going to tell me that, you know, and also, first of all, you know, in the prior video before the most recent, to himself, was encouraging people not to protest, and he kind of made it sound like he was still perhaps going to be at Anthrocon, just not going to be on stage. Now, without him coming out right and saying so, it sounded like maybe he won't be at Anthrocon. So, you know, and again, I don't know, maybe I'm reading into this, but it feels too much like the kind of thing that's designed from the ground up to get people stirred up and worked up to the point where they do a protest and don't show up at Anthrocon just like him. His fanboys will follow his lead. Okay, I don't see the point in that, you know, especially if it doesn't get him reinstated, and it's who says it will, you know, and it just, you know, it's ridiculous. You can slice it any way you choose to, but it is ridiculous, you know? There's far more to see and do at Anthrocon or any other furcon than just to the Ranting Gryphon. I mean, what is Two's God's gift to the furry fandom now? That if we don't have Two at Anthrocon, oh gee, what are we going to do without him? We move on. That's what we do. Seems to me Anthrocon has plenty more to offer than Two. You know? I don't know if his fanboys will agree with me on that. Maybe other people outside his personal fanboys too might not agree with me, and that's fine. This video is designed to tell you the way I see it, not the way you see it. If you see it differently, it's all good, right? Two's not the only one in our fandom that can make opinion videos. Admittedly, I've been pretty opinionated over the years in our fandom too. And like Two, it's gotten me in trouble at times, and there's times that it's been my fault, you know, and I admit it, you know. For anybody watching this that knows me, that doesn't like me, there's half a chance that maybe I'm the one that screwed up. But when it comes to Two, when it comes to screwing up, he's not acknowledged that screw up about that whole thing of just basically, you know, well, if they want to kill themselves, well, so be it, you know, whatever, you know, good riddance. Again, that wasn't his words verbatim, but that was like the sentiment that he expressed about that. And I think that's what he doesn't get, and possibly never will get. That is the problem here. But I guess by saying this, it makes me another SJW, because we love to kick that term around a lot on the internet, and in our fandom, including Two kicks that term around plenty. Well, let's examine for a moment, shall we? What is the exact polar opposite of an SJW? Well, if SJW stands for Social Justice Warrior, and it does, then it seems to me that the opposite of that would be Anti-Social Justice Warrior, you know? In other words, a troll. Or at the very least, somebody that doesn't give a damn about nothing and no one, alright? So excuse the fuck out of me if I actually happen to care how this could potentially impact a con that I'm going to this year, and my mate is going to. You know, again, if I wasn't going to that con, you know, I wouldn't have felt the need to do this video. But frankly, I don't see why anybody that you know, never wanted any of this stuff, and you know, and don't enjoy seeing any of this stuff now that it's happened as this drama with Two, you know. None of the rest of us wanted this, we didn't need this, and we wish it would end. So it would be nice if it did. Because, you know, I'm really hoping that come the time that Anthrocon rolls around, that all of us that go there, you know, are able to just go to a con, attend it, enjoy ourselves, have fun, and not have to be bothered with anything of this drama nonsense involving Two at it, you know. But again, you know, when you see the way that he was talking, in particular near the end of this video, he just made it seem like, you know, goodbye Anthrocon, you know, goodbye cruel Anthrocon, and all that, you know. So, this is the same guy that, you know, talked so hardcore in so many of his videos when he would do his rants, and he did, you know, because again, he didn't just simply dislike something. He despised something, from what I can tell out of 2. It's just the way 2 is, and okay, well, so be it. That's fine, you know, but it's not really absolutely necessary, like I was saying earlier in my video here, to just constantly, in every video from one to the next, to the next, to the next, just rant your fool head off. Even if that is your little shtick routine, you know, which, you know, it is for the guy. He's a one-trick pony with that kind of stuff, you know. Maybe it was great the first 20, 30 times, but it's kind of lost its flavor by now, shall we say, you know. But again, I'm not telling anybody what to like or who to like. If you like 2, it's great. If you're behind him, despite this nonsense going on with him, that's fine too, you know. But again, for me, I think that was at the absolute least, shall we say, unsavory of the guy to say what he said about people that commit suicide because they get trolled into doing it. I don't see the point in why those people do that either, because it solves nothing. But, well, frankly, neither did 2's comments about that matter solve anything either. So, you know, 2 wrongs don't make a right, now do they, right? But, no, you know, just, we don't want to listen. We're all too good for that in this day and age, in these times we live in. Everybody feels that they're so right, and anybody tells them differently, well, they're automatically wrong. Or they're wrong and an SJW, or, well, they're kind of right, but they're still kind of an SJW or something like that. Can we please stop labeling people things? Labels belong on soup cans, not on human beings. Alright? If you want somebody to think of you as a fellow human being, if you want somebody to treat you like a fellow human being, then it helps if you think of the next person as a fellow human being, and that you treat them like a fellow human being too. That you treat others the way you want to be treated. Because if you don't, you need not wonder why nobody's treating you very nice if you're not treating people very nice, you know? But, you know, we do have the whole special snowflake kind of thing going on our internet these days, and in our society, you know? And, you know, I really would have thought that 2 would have been a little better than that kind of stuff, of all people, because he's not somebody that's 18 or 21, because that special snowflake stuff seems to be something of the younger generation that they're very good for. And I'm sorry if I offend anybody at that. I'm just simply saying it the way I see it. Don't kill me for it. It's my opinion. The sun doesn't rise and set based on what I say. It doesn't rise or set based on what 2 says. It doesn't rise or set based on what Uncle Kage says. It doesn't rise or set based on what anybody says. So there's no need to take somebody's opinion so much to heart that, you know, you get what I'm saying. That this is like the problems in our fandom, you know? It all started with this stuff with 2 about things of that nature. And now it's escalated into this, you know? And, you know, again, I want to see it die down before Anthrocon for all this stuff. Other than what I've already said here, I don't know really much else more what to add. I'm kind of repeating myself anyway. But, again, these were just my thoughts. I'm not looking to argue with anybody. I'm not looking to make anybody hate me for my thoughts. I'm just simply looking to mention the way I see it. And I know I'm not so perfect that I can't be wrong. I certainly can be wrong. I've been wrong before. You know, both before I've joined our fandom and at times my dealings with people after I joined our fandom. So it stands to reason I could be wrong about some or all of this. But, you know, again, I really want to see more people in our fandom get along more often, and instead of just nitpicking over nothing, you know? Life is too short for this kind of stuff. It really is. And if more people could just learn to live and let live, and, you know, not always feel the need to just constantly light into everybody that they don't like, you know, kink shame people, fat shame people, and all kinds of things that involves shaming and putting down and all that. I mean, look, I get it, you know, that it's part of human nature that we don't always get along. I guess it's like it's hardwired into us. But here's the thing maybe people don't get, that we all live in this world, and the more people that believe in the whole thing of constantly staying at each other's throats, and they like that and they want that, the more it makes for a world that's not a very fun place to live in. Just saying, you know? So I wouldn't care if I didn't live here too, with all these other ones that are creating this kind of stuff going on, you know? So that's only about as fun. And you know, you would say, I still don't get how it affects you, Floppy. It's like, because even when I'm trying to avoid hearing about that, I can't, because, well, if you've got a pulse, then you hear it somewhere. You'll either hear it in the mainstream media, you'll hear it on the internet, you know, you'll hear it in society somewhere or other, drama-related stuff of one sort or another, whether it's political, religious, or in this particular case, for a fandom-based drama, you know? And any kind of drama is drama that I would think we all could do without. But I can tell that there are those that don't seem to really feel that way. They don't believe that way because, you know, if they truly did, then doesn't stand to reason that they'd work a little harder to try to get along with your fellow human beings on this earth, you know? I mean, if we could adopt the concept of universal brotherhood, rather than, well, I don't like you because of your race, I don't like you because of your religion, I don't like you for this reason, I don't like you for that reason. If you stop basing upon these things, and you just base it on, the next person's a fellow human being, so are you, then you've got enough basis to work with. If you stop seeing what's different about the next person, and you start seeing what's the same about the next person, namely that everybody has hopes, fears, dreams, you know, and so many of the things that are the basic level things that we all have together. I know that if we would bother to take the time, you know, to put in the time and energy to try to see what's the same about the next person rather than what's different about the next person, we wouldn't have this kind of stuff going on. But we like infighting, don't we? We clearly do. And I don't mean just us as furs. I mean us as the human race. And, you know, it's tiresome, it's frustrating, and I want to see it stop, like I already said. There's no reason it has to be like this. But I know it's going to keep going this way because people have to be this way, or want to be this way. Not have to be this way, want to be this way. Let me correct myself. And the stuff that Tu has said, he said because he wanted to say it, so he wanted to be the way that he was. And so, you know, there was a little bit of backlash about it. Well, you know, seems to me there's far more cons than just Anthrocon to go to get on a stage and on a microphone, or to just go to, period, you know? I know for a fact that Tu has been at other cons more than just Anthrocon. You can see it yourself. You look up on YouTube that he's been on the mic, you know, at other cons. Yet he acts like if he's not on the mic at this particular con, well, you know, that, you know, he's sounding almost like it's the end of ends or something like that, you know? But it's not, you know? And, you know, again, he said himself out of his own mouth that they've not barred him from Anthrocon or banned him or something like that, so he could show up if he wanted to show up. You know, why do you have to have stage space to show up at Anthrocon? You know, I'm saying to Tu. Not that he's ever going to see this video anyway. But if he does, you know, it's fine by me, you know. I'm just... Because, again, if it was con I wasn't going to, I wouldn't care one way or another. But since this is con I'm going to, I have I guess you would call, for lack of another term, a bit of a vested interest in what's going to be going down at Anthrocon, you know? Not just what isn't going down at Anthrocon for 2017, but what is going down as it relates to this stuff, you know? I don't know. We've got some time yet. We've got some months yet before it rolls around. So like I said, and I meant it, I'm going to say it one more last time. I'm sorry about being so repetitive about this, but, you know, this needs to die off for the sake of Anthrocon retaining, you know, an enjoyable element where you can have a fun time and not have to be bothered with any of this kind of melodrama. The con attendees deserve at least that much, you know, and you know, that's really all I can think to say about it, you know. So yeah, again, thank you for everybody for listening, by the way, and taking the time. And it's just a screwed up situation that never had to happen. And now that it has happened, it looks like it's taken on a life all its own. And it's just not good, period, you know. But there you have my 2 cents about it, or as 2 would say, and that's all I got to say about that. This has been PhloppyBunny. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, and let's try to take care of one another as well. I know that sounds like something out of Jerry Springer, but I'm no Jerry Springer, nor do I want to be. I mean it when I say that I want to see us care about one another and take care of one another, you know? And that can't happen until we get past this kind of stuff. But anyway, I said I was going to get going, so I'm going to do just that. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and come hell or high water, I'll see you at Anthrocon 2017.